All right. Happy Friday. Took us a little bit because Facebook is not cooperating.
Well, you were able to persevere, and if anybody knows anything about that, or the people that know, the viewers, they know that you don't give up.
No.
And that was a labor of love, girl. You worked hard to get us live, so thank you.
Jeez. Learning a lot about moving swiftly with technology, I'll tell you that much.
Got to flex, and to your point, make a connection. And what the audience doesn't know is you switch platforms, you juggle, and troubleshoot. And here we are live. So I'm grateful. Thank you, Jay, for all that effort this morning.
Well, what I'm grateful for is to get another week with the show sponsored by Heyler Realty. And what a great week it's been. This summer is not becoming lazy at all. It's actually ramping up to be a very productive summer.
You know, it's super crazy because with all the changes that have taken place in the world we now live in, and the rules and the regulations, et cetera, and some things in our lives have changed really significantly, but the real estate side of our business is literally on fire. It is just absolutely insane. Like, I have checklists of checklists to try to just keep it all organized. There's so much going on. And I mean, I think we've built our machine for these moments when things are volatile, people are unsure. What's the next step? What's the right step? There's a lot of moving parts. So sponsored by Heyler Realty is legit as can be. I would describe that other ways, but you know, it is Facebook Live.
Yeah, exactly. Well, without further ado, I know we've had her waiting in the queue for a bit, trying to make technology work, but we're excited to have another local business owner join us. And what I love about this time period is that we've had this opportunity to really focus on so many of our peers out in our community that obviously are working their butts off like we have been to keep our small businesses open. And so we're excited to bring on Ninette, who's the owner of Chrome Cycle. It's been a wonderful new addition as a business to our community, and grateful to get to know her better and share her in our queue. And let's see if I can get her in.
Please do. I'm excited to get a chance to talk to her.
Okay, save, and let's see if I can get her in. Let's see her thing. All right, three-way. There we go.
I see you. I see my screen's changed.
Yes.
Oh, come on now. Come on.
I know. Okay.
There you go.
I know that there's a button that is going to get her in here. I was able to get you in. How do I get her in?
Well, people don't need to listen to me ramble on. You could just pull her in if you want. There we go. I think something's happening.
I just click on her.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there you go. Woo, mission accomplished.
Sorry about that. What a morning. Can you hear us?
Good morning. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, perfect.
Great.
Great.
Yay. Fantastic. Well, welcome to our show, and grateful to have you on. We're so proud to have such an amazing business like yours in our community that has provided not only just a wonderful place to sweat it out and a great distraction, obviously, for everything that's going on while you were able to be open, but curious to know what brought you here and what got you started in creating this business here in our community.
Oh, thanks for asking. To be honest, this all kind of sprouted organically as a shift in my life to bring some more balance to my everyday. I was a practicing attorney and had spent, almost 14 years practicing law, and really just kind of being almost, I felt like a victim of my schedule, and I didn't really have a work-life balance, partially because of the nature of, litigation, and partially because I personally didn't really take the steps necessary to put that balance in my life. So I decided to make a shift into fitness, and over the course of, it was really by the time I made the decision to opening Chrome Cycle, it was like a 2-year journey of really kind of getting myself where I wanted to be, and both physically and mentally, emotionally, and deciding that even though I loved practicing law, maybe I didn't have the healthiest relationship with my career, and maybe it was time to sort of move into something that would serve me, as well as being able to serve others. So my goal was really to create the space that you described, a community space that would be the outlet that I needed, and that so many of, professionals just like needed to, blow off steam at the end of the day. Moms at home needing to, just get away for an hour and really just like take it out on the bike. Anybody and everybody in our community that needed a stress release and balance in their life.
There is so much meat on that bone. What you just shared with us is so awesome. It's so enriching.
Oh.
And what I heard you say was, this was actually a journey for you to come to this place where you decided this was going to be the vehicle, no pun intended, for you to create balance in your life, in your hectic schedule. And here you are in the throes of what everybody believes is the pinnacle of a career, practicing law in a major city, getting it done, the successes of that, the finances of that. And you're sitting here going, yeah, actually, it's not fulfilling. I'm not well. I need to make some changes. And you explored and moved into this direction. And what Jay and I both love about this, because we share this in common with you, is our belief in physicality, how important our organic nature is, how important it is to take care of our bodies that really ultimately help heal our minds. So I think the idea that you found something which I love is futuristic. I mean, it's got a little of that Sarah Connor Terminator stuff because it's the chrome, right? But it's badass. And it's one of those things where you get into it, you brought a really interesting component into a neighborhood that didn't have it.
That's
so
right.
I applaud that, and I thank you for it. And I would love to know, how did you choose the location? What brought you to this part of town? Because it was missing here.
I'll tell you, to be honest, I was not searching this side of town. This is my neighborhood. I live about 4 minutes from the studio, but I was searching for a location because this was 2014 when I was looking for space. And I was looking in Culver City because that was it was like right before kind of the explosion of Culver City.
Mm-hmm.
Downtown Culver had been, really renewed and bustling. And they were working on the platform, and, all that neighborhood was really this new kind of like up and coming neighborhood. And there was at the time, now there is, at the time, there was nothing in Culver City either. I wasn't really looking in, kind of my backyard. But what I looked, and nothing really fell into place, for a variety of reasons. It's really hard to, find a space where there's enough parking and permitting and, all that stuff that goes into it, where you can have that many people showing up on a regular basis. So I just couldn't find really the right spot. And I'm going to tell you, I went to get a manicure at my local shop where I had been going for over a decade. And I was walking up toward MB Nails.
Right.
And
Yep.
I looked up, and the for lease sign was splattered across the window. And I picked up my phone and I called my broker, and I was like, let's start talking to this landlord. And that was literally, I never looked at a place on the west side. It was or near Westwood. It was all like kind of Culver City. I even started to dive down a little bit towards Playa del Rey, and I thought that's a little far, but it just didn't even occur to me until it smacked me in the face. And that was never happened.
I mean, as an observation, it's actually like the synergy. It's like the universe conspired, because all of a sudden, are you not only spontaneous and going with the flow, which we have a whole philosophy about how you just kind of feel the energy of things, but you actually landed where you're like in the kingdom of great frozen yogurts. So you have people that have this mindset, like, we want to have some healthy, alternatives for desserts, quote unquote. And ironically, I think there's a Weight Watchers next to you. So you almost built into a fabric of clients.
Yeah.
Well, and also Ninette has been very involved with the school communities and the parent organizations, and giving back significantly to Westwood Charter and Emerson. And I tell you, when you give more than you take, the community just surges behind you and supports how much you put others before self. And I know how much I've appreciated. The only challenge has been obviously scheduling back before the pandemic of trying to make a class and things like that. But good golly, the classes are a great workout. The music's great. The instructors are great. The studio is awesome. She provided shoes and towels. It was a full service experience. And so for someone who loves taking classes, I know how much I enjoyed my experience at her studios. And I'm curious how much has shifted for you guys, obviously, during this pandemic, and what has changed? Obviously, a lot.
Yeah, a lot. I will tell you, I never in my wildest dream would have expected that I would be running sort of an online fitness program. It is so strange. Luckily, we were able to pivot to be able to do something with our equipment. Those bikes are babies. That equipment is just has been a lifesaver during this, for not just the studio, but for the people that need the outlet and need the stress relief. So what we have done is we actually, so I'm going to, call this first quarantine and second quarantine. When we first closed the first quarantine, it didn't take very long for me to say, okay, we've got to do something. I'm not going to just let my, instructors and my staff just kind of disappear and not be, who knows what's going to happen in the following weeks, months. I'm not going to let my community, forget about us. We're going to try to stay on top of this. And also we need to, pay rent. So we started really early just renting out the bikes. And the funny thing, I was like, okay, maybe we'll start with like 2-week terms, because like we'll be able to open. Hot cute.
Little do we know.
So we actually did start with a month, and then we're renting out the bikes, and I thought, even if we get like 20 of the bikes rented out, it'll be great. We sold out like that. People.
Wow.
Within a weekend, we had a wait list, and people like really like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you already sold out. And I was like, me neither. I didn't have a bike for myself. Like, we sold out. We kept 2 bikes for the instructors to be able to tape classes. And that was where the response from the community was fantastic. And, something like this where you're just, all of a sudden we're all locked at home, and what's your outlet? Is it is there some way to still get the physical movement that you need to nourish your body and your mind and your soul
in a safe manner, right? And the reason you had such a huge response is the fact that you laid that strong foundation before all this happened. I mean, you worked tirelessly to be a part of the community. You said yes to Pick Pico. You said yes to, the donations to folks whenever people asked. You said yes to giving charity classes. I mean, you were all in to be a part of the thread of what this community is all about in this neighborhood. And this neighborhood is pretty loyal and very strong, and they know.
People showed up. They always repay Chrome in any way that they can. Everybody gets busy with everyday life and and scheduling and certain classes, like, oh, I'm going to miss it by 5 minutes and I just can't come for a while. But I will tell you, the response that we had with not just the bike rentals, but we had a couple of tough moments during the pandemic, and people that I hadn't seen for months before we closed reached out and emailed and texted, and what can we do? How can we help? People posting on their personal pages, this is my spin studio. They're amazing. They're running video classes. Rent a bike, take a class. People were you know, after we had some issues at the studio, I had one of our dear customers from like day one, before we even really knew what we were doing. She reached out and just said, do you need money? Do you need help? And
Wow.
I like
Wow.
to personally offer out of their pocket, you know, knowing that we've come out quite a bit of money. It was just like, that actually brought me to tears.
Hmm.
So it's
Well, Jay and I need more friends like yours. I mean, that's a testimony to who you are, clearly.
Yeah.
Thing in my pocket. Yeah. Kind of stay. It's been months now. We've been able to stay, you know, have our bikes out and keep that program going, keep my instructors teaching and working and moving their own bodies and connecting. It was very different because it's just us and a camera, so we don't get to see your smiling faces and the sweat and the work. But
the energy, right, of being in a room full of other people going woo.
it's there, and we're still providing whatever we can.
Well, so
Awesome.
so just for those who may or may not know, right, really that this program is cycling. So this is very cardiovascular centric, I'm assuming, right? And I'm assuming you also have like a myriad of different classes and instructors. So you can go high intensity, low intensity, lots of movement. How does that play out? What kind of classes do you offer?
We actually, in any class you're taking, the good thing about indoor cycling is that you are on your bike. It's only going to go if you pedal. So if you need to tone it down, you're able to do that. And if you are able to like really pick it up and stick with, you know, the structure, go above and beyond, you're able to do that. But our classes are, I'm not going to lie, they're pretty tough. It's a HIIT workout. So it's all, you know, high intensity interval training. The instructors create a class. It used to be before we closed, it's a 50-minute class. And it was it's designed, there's two halves. The first half, you're working on the right side of your body, and the second half, you're working on the left side of your body. And you're using the music that the instructor will cue you to the music. So you get that balance halfway through
I have to ask a question because you
Yeah.
just created anxiety in me. So you're telling me when I go through hell on the right side, I can look forward to going to hell on my left side after I'm done with my right side?
Yeah.
We're really going to put you through the ringer.
Love it. I love it. That's awesome. Literally the ringer. Like you can take that sweat off, right?
All very encouraging, all levels, you know, welcome. When we first opened, we actually had more novice riders than we did, you know, people who had done it before or been to other studios or who were advanced. And you could literally see over the course of, you know, a year or two, the growth of the room from what people could do and what they were encouraged and pushed to do by the instructor to what they ended up being able to do, you know, a year or two later. It's really, honestly, the metaphor that you used at the beginning was so great. It was just this journey. It's a journey. It's if you allow it to be, it's a journey for you in every possible way. And there are still classes that I can't keep up, and I've been doing this I've been spending years. So, you know, there's always something to work harder for. There's always more to attain. And it's great to, you know, to look back and say, oh, wow, I remember when I didn't, you know, I couldn't do that. I couldn't even shift to the left side of my body. And now look, you know.
That's so awesome. Well, is there anything that you'd like the audience to know in terms of how they can get access to these classes?
Yeah.
I would love it. So, first of all, we have, right now we're basically running on, you know, two platforms. If you go to our website at chromecyclestudio.com, you just get information about the studio generally. If you know, click the email link, it's going to end up in my, you know, my inbox. So if you have any questions or want to know anything about bike rentals, reach out. We're happy to serve. We do have some bikes currently coming back to the studio, which will go back out to other members of the community for rental, you know, in the coming week or two until we get anything from the governor. And then we have another platform that if you actually go to our Instagram page or our Facebook page and just click the link, it'll take you to our on-demand platform. And we've got right now, over 50 classes live on the platform.
Wow. Big menu.
Yeah, thanks. Well, it's been a few months, so
Plenty of time to archive them.
it's Sean, it's so funny. So Jay, you know Jenny.
Yeah, great.
She's actually the very first instructor I ever hired. She, at the beginning of the pandemic, she was pregnant, about 7 to 8 months pregnant. The first classes are her teaching with this huge belly, teaching and getting on the bike and riding it and teaching you classes. And it's so funny because if you just click on Jenny classes, you see, she's missing for a month. And then she's just like back to normal teaching.
Oh my God.
wow.
Well, pregnant women are so freaking strong. It's like unreal, the resolve that they have, right?
Very, very beyond. I'm so just, I mean, in awe of her. So yeah.
I'm going to add maybe an inappropriate comment, but I don't know if people are more beautiful than when they're pregnant. Women that are pregnant are there's just that energy that's tremendous.
I don't think that's inappropriate. I think it's very true.
Yeah, that's true. Although it was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But would you say that is there a favorite genre of music that you enjoy when you're running or in your spin classes? I'm curious to know.
I don't necessarily. I'm not very picky genre wise, but my favorite, what really gets me motivated and really into whatever drill we're doing is some sort of like a good remix with a serious beat drop. So,
Yeah.
No. Okay, I'm going a little bit slower right now, and this instructor is about to kick my ass. And you can hear it coming, right? Like the build up, and then just drops. Favorite moment of the music.
I love those too, though, because then you're revving up, and all of a sudden you hear that music, and all of a sudden, boom, you just want to get going. So That's so awesome. Now, did you grow up out here, Ninette?
I grew up in Long Beach.
Oh, okay. Oh, how sad for that mayor's parents. Oof.
Say that again.
Oh, the Long Beach mayor, his parents and stepfather both passing away because of COVID.
I know, I saw that too. It's just
COVID
is.
It's real, it's really real, and staying safe is so important. And you grew up in Long Beach. Where'd you go to college? How did you get into law?
Well, okay, so I honestly, I always wanted to be a lawyer from a young age, like preteen years. I used to watch LA Law with my parents and be like, I'm going to do that. My dad was like, what are you you don't even know what you're talking about. And I was like, they're doing, that's what I do. And then I actually went to UCLA for undergrad. So that's really what brought me to this, this.
Oh, how awesome. Go Bruins.
Yeah, go Bruins. Focused on law school. I went away for law school and then came back and really landed, planted roots on the West Side when I got back from law school and haven't moved since.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. It's a pretty incredible place to be. It's a central access point to everything, I think.
Yeah.
Well, Sean's lucky to be third generation. So he's like 100-year family of being here on the West Side.
Easy.
I would actually say, though, I know that my paternal grandmother was born in Long Beach. Long Beach was one of the first real places in all of Southern California to be developed because it had that giant port. So it was really significant to the development of the history of Los Angeles. And so I remember my great grandmother's apartment was on that very first, where the copper top tower, that old apartment building is, or whatever they converted to. It adds the kind of Victorian style top, but it looks like it's 18 stories tall. She lived literally across the street. So, I have great memories going back there and seeing Grandma Nova. So yeah, and Long Beach has always got a little special place, and it's significant relative to it. But it's also the idea that we are Los Angelinos. I mean, some people migrate here, but there's a reason that we stay because there's so much resource.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if there isn't anything else, we're going to say goodbye and thank you so much for joining us and sharing, your stories with us and what's been going on at your studio right there on the corner of Olympic Boulevard and Westwood Boulevard above the Penguins and Subway shop right there in the corner. And just been a wonderful part of our community, a wonderful addition. We hope that we can get to the other side of this and we can have just a one giant class together again, and
We'll
we'll
be.
be.
I'll be running them nonstop once we can.
Awesome.
Well, stay safe, Ninette. Thanks for everything that
Thank
you
you,
do,
Ninette.
and thanks for joining us today.
Great speaking with you. Thank you.
It's a
Bye.
pleasure. Bye now.
Again, so fortunate that we are surrounded by such wonderful business owners in our community. The collegiality of what we share and wanting to make an impact and do good for others and just leave people better than the way we found them. And I know how passionate and how stressful she has. The road she's traveled to get to where she is today is just unreal. You just root for people, you know?
Well, it's not only that, she and that's what we talked about in the very beginning of the conversation. She put it all out there because she theoretically had what everyone was trying to strive to achieve. And then all of a sudden evaluate it and go, it's not enough, it's not fulfilling, I don't have what I need inside of me, and I'm going to make some changes. And that is a really pivotal part of human consciousness, that evolution of moving towards and forward something greater than yourself. And then it shows, because here she is, landing by almost by happenstance into a very vital part of the city. I mean, she's at an intersection that's about as major as an intersection can be, Olympic and Westwood.
True.
She's got something that's futuristic, because the Chrome bike is really an outstanding vehicle to work with. It's low impact, it's high intensity, it's great for the cardio. I mean, it's a real enhancement for people who understand how good that can be for you. And she brought it into an area that didn't have it. So in that sense, she's rewarded. Now, clearly, like all of us through COVID and through this last experience, for the last 5-6 months, or which seems like an eternity, we all have to adapt. And it's what I love too, is that she did pivot early, which I think is the word of the year, but
Smart.
pivoted early and found an adaptation. How could she apply this in some other direction? How could she do something? Renting out her bikes, genius. Having her archiving all of her classes, genius. And to the audience, this is a great invitation, because you can do this without the kind of self, maybe embarrassment's not the right word, but when you're self-conscious and you're like, here you can go into the sanctity of your own home, rent a bike, and get into a class and really start to develop that and be it way more affordable than a Peloton. So
Yeah.
just saying,
True.
I think it's a great alternative, and I'm glad she's here. But that also speaks to the fact, Jay, that's part of the reason we're here. And we really buy in to what this part of the city offers, and in this part of the country, really. Clearly we have the weather, albeit really hot, so everybody hydrate a ton. I think we have 3 or 4 days of some serious heat. But we have all these great businesses, family-oriented businesses, small business owners. We're not overwhelmed with corporate big businesses. We have these little people that are really just making it on their own. They're bringing their own flavor. There's that whole section of Westwood between Olympic and, well, gosh, it goes all the way to Wilshire, and they call it Little Tehran. And the fact is, there's incredible food, there's incredible flavors, there's incredible culture to be had. It's so much to learn about other people and other ways of doing things. And then you find all these other little gems where you can get specific kind of workout classes or resources for the other community, where there's like the thrift stores that are all about donation and paying it forward. That's what we're subscribing to. And right now, more than ever, we got a link. We got to help each other out, which is part of the video you and I did last week that played while you were out on holiday enjoying yourself.
Yeah, Jackson Hole was quite an incredible experience. Thanks for giving me that week off to enjoy being out in 240-acre ranch with just the Milky Way and shooting stars and the constellation, because the night sky was so black, and truly just giving my boys a last hurrah before school starts next week. And I have to say, to be on a horse and whitewater rafting and rock climbing and hiking, it was definitely just an incredible gift to have that week of, forgetting about what we're living through right now, to be honest with you. So
well, no, it's regenerative, and the audience doesn't know this, but maybe they do, because a lot of them know who you are. But it's extremely hard for you to unplug, because you're so committed to all your promises and all your relationships and your commitment to keep remaining connected. and always being the person that volunteers. So it's very, very rare that you actually really recharge your batteries. And that kind of environment where you are immersed in nature, where you get all the smells and the scents and the sights and the sounds and the quiet and the darkness and all that, that's healing. Like that's restorative. And what I know is you came back and you were like J 2.0 or 3.0. Actually, I should say J 10.0. Oh my God, you're just like a blur. I am shocked you are actually taking the time to be on this Facebook Live because you're so freaking busy. I look at your calendar and I go, yeah, no, that's exhausting. I'm going to pass out just reading her calendar, let alone living her calendar. But it's awesome because it's the testimony. So I think that's also the importance to identify that, which is taking that time. And that's what I think that Ninette was really addressing, was finding that balance. And she found it through that exercise and those routines. And we can find it in these different vehicles, and they're really important to have. And I think more than any other time in my lifetime, it's important to stay connected with people and restore so you can really give them quality.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, what an intense profession to be a litigator. And I know so many attorneys, once they've gone through law school and go out and practice and join a firm and so forth. I mean, it is life sucking in the intensity of what they have to endure to protect their clients, and really giving up a lot of your life, frankly, to be in that profession, and to become a parent even harder. I remember when I first gave birth to Ryan and going through a lot of the mommy and me classes, and I would say it was for working mom, mommy and me's, and most were attorneys. And they were saying, I don't know how, as a new mother, that I'm going to be able to juggle being an attorney and being a mom, frankly, because 15 years ago, more so than now, but 15 years ago, it still was not a family friendly environment to be a working woman professional. And to juggle that has always been a challenge. I know that more companies have opened up to providing daycare or flex schedules, and obviously now working from home, that has totally shifted all of that. But to be a new mother is tough.
The conversation, right, and the evolution of consciousness where we understand, like, mm, with the realization of women's equality and really bringing it forward. And we're talking about that
Mm.
in all phases of our society right now, in all aspects, create equity, create opportunity, and true equality. That has taken time to move through the system. It's not perfect yet, but it's moving through the system. It's changing, it's evolving as we do that. I can tell you from my own personal experience that my life is greatly enriched. And I think by having children as a father, and having a partner as that's also a mother, or my wife as an example too, where there's a sense of selflessness when you have children, right? You learn to serve because you just love them, and it's an unconditional love. And it's that kind of unconditional love that helps you map the way to learn to love people that are conditionally lovable, where you have to want to love them, and you have to make that effort. Where your babies may frustrate you, but you just love them. And I think that consciousness of unconditional love and practice is so important to take it forward into the world and make the difference. Like that way, you treat everybody with compassion and empathy and understanding and patience and kindness and nurturing, and you help them become their best versions of themselves. That's what we do for our children. And so the workplace becoming that environment it's enriching all of society. It's enriching humanity's consciousness. Now we've got a long way to go, truly, but we are definitely in that movement. And I pride myself on being a very strong male who completely respects and enjoys and admires and believes wholeheartedly in the equality of women and the full empowerment of that. So it's exciting to see. It's exciting to be a part of that and to have a partner like you who's just out there and seeing. And by the way, you made a comment about litigators, and I'm like, that's a real life giant mental game of chess with words and findings. Like you've got to go back and research and pull all this historical context and court findings. No, not for me, girl. No, give me. I love what I do. I can tell you that. I'm grateful for the work that we do, and truly we're being rewarded for it. But it's because we really passionately care. We take that philosophy forward about treating one another really well.
It's funny because if I think back, if I could go back 30 years and I understood what my options were, I would have gone down into the law path, to be honest with you, because, I love negotiating and I love pulling all the facts and figures to create my case. And so I think about it now. I didn't quite understand what, because nobody in my family was a lawyer. And actually, I have my youngest cousin who he's the only lawyer in our family so far. But it was all pushed towards being medicine or engineering, and law was not one of those things that the family really, even though that was obviously one of the professions, but nobody in our family was one. So it's interesting looking back now. I could have easily seen myself being in estate planning law because it's very fascinating. I think that understanding how to protect, our loved ones, how to preserve, the next generation from what you've built and how to preserve it for them, and taxation and all of those things I find to be very interesting. And I think that's the reason why we take on so many probate and trustee cases, because all of that is so uniquely different in the paperwork aspect and understanding of what happens there. And then to marry that with empathy and what a family is going through when that loss happens and so forth. So I can see where understanding law and having that background is such a crucial part to marrying what we get to do, which is the aspect of being that guide and helping people through not only the paperwork, but the negotiations has to, as you know, I love that part, being spot on and maximizing where they are in terms of gaining the most on a sale or gaining the most when they're purchasing. And so I could have gone down a different path, but it wasn't meant to be.
For sure. I mean, we do practice law as brokers. I mean, we don't practice law per se, but we are contractual experts when it comes to real estate. In my family, I have my brother-in-law and sister-in-law who are extremely prominent attorneys in New York City. One who runs the DA's apartment, so that's criminal, and then the other that's a defender, former U.S. attorney. And it's super interesting when you think about it, because they're both very intellectual, can absolutely read and discern information, great communicators. One is ruthlessly efficient, and the other one is brilliant in his storytelling. And so when you see this marriage of minds, it is an admirable profession, albeit a difficult one. And we know many great ones. I think of Greg Kaufman is one of the people that I work with often, and he is one of the richest resources that we have. He's always kind and compassionate, but competent, and it's exhaustive. They pay a big price to get to where they are and to get the rewards that they earn, and I believe they earn all of it. I think of my friend Ben Mulcahy, who's a major entertainment attorney, and certainly we know a number of them, and they give a lot of their lives for it. It is. I could see you practicing law, and you're also a fighter. Like, it's in your nature to no, I'm not going to let go. We're going to see this all the way through. But I also love the idea of Ninette's story too, because she's been there, done that. And she's like, nah, maybe not for me. I'm going to make a change. And what a great career change she made for herself. And I love that. It seems that everything is supporting her in this journey as we all move forward and figure out how to adapt.
Isn't that funny? My first trainer in Los Angeles, she was also went to law school and decided to become a personal trainer instead, back in Bodies of Motion in Century City. And now she's in Houston, but I miss my friend Tiffany. But she also went through law school and went down the fitness path instead. It was like this mentally strong women that decide, you know what, I'm going to just make people physically strong with my mental strength. And blending that, and I'll tell you, it's the toughest trainer I've ever had, and she is.
I think there's also a comment about that, like an observation, if I may. That's also a voice for women saying, yeah, guess what? This isn't a male-dominated, physicality is not a male-dominated thing. In fact, by the way, men, good luck trying to have a baby, because I cry if I have a paper cut. It's like, oh, Jill, I feel sick, and I got to go lay in bed, so let alone carrying a baby and giving birth. So that, to me, is the greatest physical achievement that there is. But beyond that, the women do have those skill sets. And that, I think, is a real move towards a statement of equality. It says, no, I can compete with you on a competitive level in physicality. And I think that's also an important part of the conversation to have. And it goes around the world in terms of respect. And most importantly, what it speaks to is finding that within yourself, that journey of introspection that takes you to where you want to be where are you your highest and best version of yourself? And what does that look like? And sometimes that means you've gone down this path and all of a sudden you go, no, making a left turn, I'm going to make a change. I admire people who do that.
And speaking of left turns, we do have some great new inventory to let folks know about, because we have one coming soon, a 2-bedroom, 2.5-bath townhome in Santa Monica. That is a great opportunity. Open house scheduled for COVID-friendly environment for our property up in Mount Olympus. It's a $2 million property. And that's Sunday. I'll be up there from 1:30 to 4 p.m. And then we have a great lease over on 906 North Doheny, Unit 512. It's a top floor, 2-bedroom, overlooking the pool interior unit, but literally steps from everything walkable to get to fine dining and shopping and everything else. So really lovely.
All three of those actually have their own really unique reflection of great location. Like the Mount Olympus property, which there's a reason they call it Mount Olympus, because the views are so sweeping and so amazing. I mean, I remember being up there the other day for photography, and I could see the new football stadium down in Inglewood being built, and downtown looked like I could reach out and touch it, and yet it was still 5-6 miles away, which was cool.
Yeah.
But then you get down from there, because that's essentially Mount Olympus is where Sunset meets Laurel Canyon. And you're just in the middle of it all instantaneously right there. And Doheny, if you're a nightlife person that wants a secure, beautiful luxury building where you're like safe and sound and tucked in a corner with really just one wall in common, that's a fantastic one, because you are 2 minutes to walking onto Melrose. You're 5 minutes from walking on Sunset Boulevard or Santa Monica Boulevard. You're a 10-minute walk to downtown Beverly Hills. That's super central. And then Santa Monica. I mean, you pretty much, unless you're on the freeway, you're doing really well there. So
yeah, no kidding. Well, yeah, it's a lot of good things. I was able to deliver a set of keys to a new buyer this week.
Yes, you were.
That was also a great success story, and happy about how that's all coming together for him, because we had to fix a few things with the huge credit we got him. And so able to get him a $45,000 total credit based upon everything that we unearthed on that house. So, it's always a good thing when they get to be in a position where they feel good about what they're doing moving forward.
Well, that's a great story too. And I mean, I know we're going to go a little over time, but I just want to share it because, first of all, it was a tremendous buy in a great part of the city that's going to have continued growth. Person found a diamond of a house. It sort of looked like a diamond, but when you peeled away the layers, you're like, ooh, we've got some things we got to address here. And you championed them, and you really, what I loved the most was how you positioned the other broker to be able to be full of information and realization that what you found was all very legitimate and needed to be addressed. Very hard for a seller at that price point to swallow that kind of credit. But the truth really prevailed. So congratulations and kudos to that. And I know our client was super thrilled, and I know you gave him a ridiculously fun gift to celebrate with.
Well, we love finding all the unique hobbies and things that our clients are into, and just make it celebratory. It was a tough journey. It's always a hard journey. Buyers always say, wow, buying a house is a lot of work. And I said, yes, it is. It's way more work than people imagine it to be. You're doing it, it's meaningful. It's like the largest purchase you're ever going to make. And
Typically.
If it was easy, everybody would do it. So, and it's not. So, but we try to make it as easy as we can to be their guide by their side. So here's to wrapping up another awesome week, Sean. Thank you for everything. I just appreciate how you always have my back and I got yours. And here's to a very productive weekend, because I'll be out showing 4 properties in a couple hours.
Yeah, you go get it, girl. I'll be showing our Achilles Mount Olympus to 4 different buyers. So
yay, divide and conquer.
Right. Have a great day.
Bye.